What's up, guys? It's AJ with ForeMeats coming to you today with some fresh pasta with a sausage marinara, rustic style. Let's get this thing going. All right, guys, so we're gonna start with our holy trinity here. I'm gonna get this all prepped. We've got our carrot, celery, 4 garlic cloves. Gonna get these all diced up. Doesn't have to be real fine. I'm actually gonna hit this with an immersion blender just to get it smooth once I've got them cooked down a little bit. So again, just a rough chop here. I'm gonna go ahead and dice these up, set them off to the side. We'll keep rolling. All right, so we got everything diced up here. Let's go ahead and get rolling. We're gonna start with our sausage here in just a moment. I'm gonna brown that up for a second. You'll see, set that off to the side. Add this in, let it cook down, then go ahead and start building the sauce, building those flavors. All right, so we got this nice and hot here. We're gonna go ahead and give these a nice sear. Just give them a couple minutes each side, and then we're gonna go ahead and pull them out, put our Trinity in here, let that cook down a little bit, throw everything else together. So we got the sausage out. We're gonna go ahead and put in our Trinity here, let this cook down for a few minutes, and then I'm actually gonna hit it, let it reduce with a little white wine before I start building the rest of the sauce. All right, while this is still cooking down, let's go ahead and hit it with a little salt and pepper. Every time you add something to a dish that's new, you've got to season it. So even though I seasoned it right now with this, as I keep building flavors with other additions, keep adding seasoning and tasting. Okay, so it's cooked down for about 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to kind of deglaze the pan a little bit and reduce a little white wine in here just to put a little more depth of flavor into it as I'm building this sauce. So I'm just gonna put a hair of this in here, just a tiny, tiny bit. Let that reduce down, and then we'll go ahead and start adding the, the tomatoes and all of that to build this yummy goodness that we're creating right now. All right, so I let this reduce down for about 3-4 minutes, basically by half. I'm gonna go ahead and add our crushed San Marzanos. This is my favorite anytime I'm building a sauce, any sort of marinara, any sort of red sauce like that. Really, San Marzanos to me are my favorite, but use whatever tomatoes you want. You can crush them up yourself, dice them up yourself, whatever you'd like to do. So now that I'm building the sauce here, I'm gonna go ahead and cook this on low because I have plenty of time. Really, once I put the sausages back in, all I'm looking to do is finish cooking those sausages. And the longer this goes, the more you can build flavor. But again, if you don't have enough time, you're cooking on a short time period, go ahead and crank it up a little bit. Cook it for an hour, cook it for a half an hour. Really, all you're looking to do at this point is just cook those sausages once I throw them in here. Another thing that I'm gonna add to this is a little bit of red pepper. I basically do this by taste, little red pepper flake. I want a little heat to go with that sausage to kind of pair with that. As this reduces down, cooks down a little bit for us, I'll taste it just to see periodically what I need to add, what I need to change. Again, I know I talked earlier, these chunks here, don't worry about that. I'm doing this a little rustic. I didn't want to spend time dicing these up real fine, and regardless, I'm gonna hit it with an immersion blender. Once this is cooked all down, I'll pull the sausage out. Once they're cooked, immersion blend it, throw everything back together and build the rest of the dish. So again, gonna let this go for a little bit. I'm gonna let it go for probably about 3 hours. Come back to it, have those sausages in there, and let's go make our pasta. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on our homemade fresh pasta here. So we've got the 00 flour. We're gonna go 3 cups of flour and then 4 eggs. We're gonna use the assistance of the KitchenAid mixer with the dough attachment today to get this rolling. We'll show you the process, get it up in a ball, let it rest for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then we'll roll that out. So let's go ahead and get this rolling. Like I said, 3 cups of flour. Go ahead and round that off as well. So you wanna make sure you've got it pretty well measured. And the nice thing is too, one, fresh pasta tastes better. That's the good thing. Second thing is it cooks a lot quicker. So this fresh pasta here is going to cook about 2-3 minutes in that boiling temperature. So it's pretty neat. Something you can easily do at home. Doesn't take a lot of practice, doesn't take a lot of skill, and always something that you can impress your friends and family with. So we got the flour in here. Let's go ahead and crack our eggs, get those rolling. Ready to roll here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on with the dough attachment. Going to let it go for about 5 minutes until it kind of forms itself into like a little bit of a ball shape. If need be, for a little moisture to get it going, you can add a little teaspoon of water, just a little bit at a time, just to kind of monitor it. You don't want to go too heavy with the water because you don't want it to be too moist. when you're trying to form that dough. So let's go ahead and get this going, and we'll show you the product here in just a moment. Okay, so the KitchenAid did its thing for about 5 minutes. Went ahead and formed that dough for me like such. Like I said, wanted it to be as round as possible as that's going. That means everything is kind of kneading together. So now that I have this here, I'm gonna roll this into that ball a little tighter, throw it in some plastic wrap, put it in the fridge for about an hour. All right, so while that dough is resting here, let's go ahead and get the next step of our sauce going. So I'm gonna go ahead here, pull out the Italian sausage, just set them off to the side for a minute, and then we're gonna go ahead and use that immersion blender to get this sauce smooth. It's been long enough now where the veggies and everything that I had, that Holy Trinity earlier, is soft enough that I can get that blended to a nice smooth sauce. So we're gonna go ahead, get this going, then I'll show you the consistency. It'll go back to like a normal sauce instead of that thickness that we had earlier. If you don't have one of these, you can always just put it in a regular blender. This is just way easier instead of having to dump everything out. And plus, it's easy to do when a sauce is hot. If you've ever tried to put anything hot in a blender and blend it, you can come up with good things, but a lot of times things just start exploding all over the place and make a mess. And your wife or husband or whoever is going to be very unhappy with you when they get home. So now here's kind of that consistency that we had that we did not have earlier. Again, earlier it was more rustic, looked more like a soup. But now that I was able to use that immersion blender, we're able to have everything kind of smooth together to look like a normal pasta sauce that you would have. Now everything's kind of married together. At this point, I'm gonna throw those sausages back in, let them cook. I'm gonna taste it, make sure I don't need to adjust anything, salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, anything you want to add to the sauce. Now's the time to keep doing it, but we're all set. Our dough has rested. I went ahead and cut it into 4 equal parts. That way I can roll them out, cut them, and get an equal amount. Perfect measurement to the best of my ability here. So let's go ahead, roll these out, get them as thin as possible or to your liking, and then we're gonna go ahead and cut them and get them ready to roll. Okay, so we got the first one rolled out to a thickness that I'm ready to do. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these into strips. Like I said, I'm making kind of like a fettuccine type, so a little thicker noodle. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this first one. When I get back, we'll have everything ready to go and ready to drop in that boiling water and start plating everything up. Okay, so we are ready for the pasta drop here. This fresh pasta is gonna cook about 2 or 3 minutes, so let's go ahead and get it in the pot, get this cooking, and we'll be ready to eat. So we have the final product, all plated up, cheesed up, sauced up. Let's give it a first bite. It's pretty darn good.